All right, today we're bringing you the definitive Xbox console tier list. Undebated. Our tier lists are by far the best because we've had like one maybe prior to this, depending on what order I upload this.
Correct. We are tier list experts.
Yep. You could say we're actually S class tier list makers if you rated tier list makers. So
You know what we are, though? We are kind of Xbox experts.
we definitely are Xbox experts. We're gonna go by order of release on this one. We're not gonna go by order of what this is
Ooh.
right now. The original OG Xbox.
So big
Big
differentiating
chungus.
thing here. Hold on. With the original controller
I'm gonna say
or with
at
an
their
updated controller?
I'm gonna say at their height, at the best version. And you have to compare it to the other ones. So, like it has
At
to.
their time also.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking at their time, but like you have to compare it to all the other Xboxes at their prime. So.
Okay, fair. S.
You're still going S.
I still have that green home screen burned into my retinas.
I use that green home screen as my Xbox Series X home screen. You can do that. I don't know if you know that.
I don't have a Series X, so some of us aren't.
You have a Series S, right?
Rich. I have an S, yeah.
Well, you can still do it there, I think.
I'm sure I could.
Okay.
But I don't.
All right. If you want to be such a little shit about it, all right. So you're doing S.
As far as I'm concerned, it was incredible. I spent a bajillion hours on it. You could do music and everything. Like,
yep.
It had tons of memory.
It was way ahead of time. It was number one, way more powerful than all the other consoles at the time. It had way more options, like you said. It had internal storage, so you could save music. You could play your music while you gamed. It had Halo 2. That's Halo 1 and Halo 2. It revolutionized online multiplayer. I think you're right. I can't. I was gonna do A, but I really think you're right. It has to be S tier, especially considering it was a progenitor to all the other ones. You always get an extra tier for that. So S tier it is.
Yep.
S tier it is. All right, perfect.
Fully agreed.
So next on the list would be the 360.
So the 360 had the games, baby.
It had
oh my god,
all the games. I don't know what the hell Chad Warden was talking about, but it had the games, bro.
Just games. I mean, just freaking licking them off, game after game after game. It was awesome. But there were some problems.
Definitely. It didn't have as much power as the PS3. There were definitely some issues with the launch. You know, the original console that came out had the Red Ring of Death and all these terrible issues. But Microsoft...
Let's play the how many did I own? I think I went through 3 or 4 of them.
I think I went through... I want to say I also went through 3. But Microsoft... So that does factor in, but Microsoft did replace them all for free. And it did suck to be without your console for 2 years, but they held to their guns. They covered the cost because they knew they screwed up. So you also have to think about that.
None of mine were Red Ring of Death, I should note.
Oh, okay. My 2 that Red Ringed, they literally, you just called support, they sent you a box, and you sent it in. 2 weeks later, you got a new one for free.
I did not have that. I just, I don't know if mine like melted internally, but one just stopped reading discs. It just wouldn't read anything, and then the next one just one day didn't turn on.
Okay.
And I don't even know. I think I did have a Red Ring, but Xboxes were so cheap by the time I had the Red Ring, it wasn't worth sending in. I just bought one.
So, like, okay, I do agree we should factor that in, that all the problems was a thing. But I did say earlier the height of the console's, like, reign. So the picture in here, that Xbox 360 there was the second or third version, and it did not have those problems. It didn't fail like the original Xbox 360 did.
Oh,
I owned one of those.
But I think we still have to account for
the
issues. Why there were so many versions of it in the first place.
Yeah. So in my opinion, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's so good. But I'm still going to say A just because there's so many problems with them.
Okay. I would say even with all the problems, you have to think about this. The best controller at the time, by far.
Oh, yeah.
Best controller.
Infinity.
The best games. The most games as well. The best games, best controller, best multiplayer, best online experience with Xbox Live. All the ease of.
But you had to pay for it.
You obviously had to pay for it. First
person
you
to
pay.
watch this video is going to say that shit.
And that's why it was good. It's because you paid for it. That's you get what you fucking pay for. I hate to break it to you, PlayStation players, but that is why your online sucked.
Kevin Gates' cousin definitely had something going by charging.
Yeah, exactly. So we had the best controller, best games, and most games, best online experience. Personally, I would say the best dashboard and menus by far. They reiterated on those for 7 times.
Yes, they redid it a bunch of times with the huge updates that would just bog down my garbage internet for weeks to download. But they'd update them. You're clearly fighting for it to jump to S tier.
And the reason I'm going to say that is because my best gaming experiences ever in my entire life were on the 360. I've made friends that's where I made friends. I survived fucking high school with the 360. That is the definitive console for me. And that is why, for me, it's S-Class. If that's not the case for you, that's fine.
I'd agree. No, I'd agree, but I think because of the errors, it should be behind the original.
I can
if it had no problems ever, it would be far above the original. By far,
but yeah. If it was flawless, and it didn't have all those hardware issues, yes, it would be above. But I am just happy it's in the S-Class. To me, it is the second coming of Christ because it was amazing at the time. I was in the perfect age range.
It was good enough to where I was more than happy purchasing several more Xboxes after they melted.
Exactly. I'd purchased 5 of those fucking things just to keep playing those games. Because
I have 3 Xbox 360s.
I have 360 Xbox 360s. Oh God! I mean, you just got to think. You got to think. The original Xbox for its time was the better console. It didn't have problems. It was the most powerful by far.
Dude, you could throw it off of the freaking Empire State Building and they would keep running.
Yeah.
There's definitely murder trials where an Xbox was used as a murder weapon, and then the dude set it back down and kept gaming, never even shut it off.
Yep.
Assuming it's a dude, but not to be misogynistic, but men definitely commit more murders with blunt objects.
Yeah. No, totally. But the 360, the original Xbox had very good games, but nowhere near. Let's just say they started making good games with the Xbox, and then the 360 was they revolutionized games, with the 360.
Yes.
But then it got tired. I feel after the 360, they just stopped trying. All games suck now. I don't know what it is. But
360 was the uphill, pinnacle, and slight downhill of gaming. It lasted that whole generation.
Yeah. So the Xbox original was just a steep climb to the top, and then it was like a fucking sine wave with the 360. It was up and down. All right, that's perfect. All right, what's next? So we got the Xbox One.
Xbox One.
Yeah, not original Xbox. The Xbox One. The cable box. The cable box.
Just now.
Yeah. That thing that you're supposed to hook your cable up to and not play games with. That one.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you had to have the Kinect and stuff? Yeah. I had one.
Yeah.
I got one immediately because I had to have the Kinect. It was before they separated the two. But you're talking at peak, so at peak you wouldn't have had to have bought a Kinect. But Microsoft kind of went all in on standing and dancing in your living room gaming was going to be the way to go. Controllers are whack, they've said.
I mean, they barely cared about games at all. They wanted it to be your media center for movies and TV and all this other bullshit. We just wanted a console.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't great. It was just kind of a forget about. Like, it's a generation that you just never really even acknowledge.
I mean, the console itself was
basically
ugly.
like people born in the 80s, you know? You just don't even, like, they're there.
Yeah, they're there. But the console itself was huge, and it was ugly. The only really good thing about the hardware was the controller. I didn't know how they did it, but they made the Xbox 360 controller better. And that is the one thing they really did well with the Xbox One.
It was a little tighter feeling. It felt higher quality for sure.
Yep.
And
And if you factor in games didn't fully go downhill here. Like I feel like they stayed kind of high after the 360. Maybe not quite as good as the 360 era games, but they still stayed up there. So that does help it. But literally, I still want to put it in disappointing.
Copy, paste, rinse, repeat game generation started.
Yeah, it did start that. Yeah, you're right. Personally, I'd put it in disappointing. I really would.
Oh, all the way down there.
Yeah, because if I compare it to the other ones, it was disappointing.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I mean, the next one is the One X, and to me, that is what the Xbox One should have been. The One X came out with, it was the most powerful console at the time. You know, stronger, better than the PS4 Pro. You didn't need Kinect. Honestly, and I bought one because, you know, it was like, I think it was 2 or 3 years between that and the Series X and Series X and Series S. And yeah, I was happy with the purchase, but like, I feel like it should have been that when it came out. Obviously not as powerful because technology had advanced since then, but if it had been the strongest console at the time, didn't require Kinect, didn't have the bullshit DVR stuff and the TV stuff, like, that could have been how good the Xbox One should have been.
Yes. And the One X is when it felt more natural to actually use it as your main entertaining, because cable had gone away and it was like Netflix and the Hulus and stuff, and it kind of incorporated it really well. And it wasn't forced on you, but it kind of is when it became more used for that as well, as your just everything entertainment.
Yep, 100%. But even with all of that, even if this had come out when the Xbox One came out, I would still put it at can't complain.
Yep, same. There was nothing. It wasn't special. It was just a console.
It was they didn't have. There wasn't any like think about it. The 360 had Halo 3, Gears of War. It all the like the two consoles before it had like headliners that you needed to get the console for. Like you had to. But the One and the One X didn't have that. They had crappy Halo 4 and crappy Halo 5. I guess they had Forza, which Forza Horizon's really good, but like, I mean, I don't think it's like a console seller.
Right, and I'm pretty sure it's available on everything. Probably DS, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, but
it's only an Xbox game, man.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But either way, I would honestly, for that generation, if my friends didn't have the Xbox, I would have preferred to have the PlayStation.
Yeah. Yep.
And as an Xbox fanboy, that's hard to say. But that's the way it is. And then we have the Series X and the Series S, and they essentially released at the same time. I think the Series S was first, so I will go with that first. You have personal experience with the Series S. Where would you put that?
You know, I'm more than happy with the S. I've never had an issue. I'm not my TV's not good enough for the X. Like the S is fine. It does good. It's tiny. I mean, really, the space that the TV stand provides, it doesn't even think about filling.
For sure.
The not having a disc tray, it's just it makes sense. You don't need a disc tray. Well, I thought that X with that disc tray, and it just doesn't. You don't need that. It's ridiculous. It's just the whole concept of a disc tray is completely unnecessary.
Yep.
So that's not a takeaway at all. The only complaint, and it's a kind of big complaint, is the memory is so fucking small.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to, because Xbox just bends you over and forces you to have the X and S improved games on your hard drive, and the hard drive's so small. You download a couple games like a Halo 5 and a Call of Duty, that's half of it gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's tiny. So it's a great console, and it's really incorporated all the entertainment at this point to be almost just fluid to make sense. But that memory is an issue. It's a big issue.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it at C just because of the memory thing.
You're going C? I thought you were going to go with B, but I guess if you
would go above it, if it weren't for the memory. But the memory, just even in recent months, for me, has become a huge problem.
Okay.
Because I have the separate hard drive for all the older games, but as every game comes out, I want more newer games on there. Mm-hmm. The hard drive is sitting half empty.
Yep.
And the external hard drives half empty. The hard drive on the Xbox is super full all the time. I'm deleting games that I still want to play because there's games I want to play more, and that's a problem.
No, I 100% agree with that.
And for the memory expansion, it's half the cost or more than half the cost of the Xbox.
It's super expensive because they got their proprietary bullshit. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely. I'll agree with that. Yeah, I thought you were going with beyond average, but I totally can't complain.
The memory is a huge issue. Everything else is great about it, but the memory is a major issue.
Yep. And with the Series X, I'm going to put it at beyond average because I would say it's definitely better than the S. Obviously, for it, it's the most powerful console out there on release. Let's say I don't know when people are going to watch this video. On release is the most powerful console. It keeps it cool. Like I like the design. It's just like a refrigerator. It's pretty cool, but it keeps it super cool. It has the disc tray, like you said. It has twice the RAM or twice the memory of the Series S, and you can still get your expansion pass. I would still say that's too small. I think it should be at 2 terabytes.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yep.
I was gonna say, even though I don't own one, having double the memory that I have still probably wouldn't be enough.
No,
if it had 2 or 3, even crazy concept, it would absolutely be A.
Yep. 100%. But even with 2 terabytes, I'd probably keep it at beyond average because you have to look at the console as a whole, and that means the games that came with it. And the Series X just ain't got no games. This might be something that you didn't think of, but this is almost tier-breaking worthy. Bring it down one because of how unavailable it was. The whole reason I have an S is because I couldn't get an X. That's true. But, does that say something? One. Like, I get it. We had the shortage, though, the chip shortage, so it wasn't really anybody's fault. Everybody went out and wanted one, and they couldn't provide enough. Same thing with the PlayStation 5. Like, they just couldn't make enough with the chip shortages and, the COOF and all that stuff that was going on. I wouldn't say that's tier-breaking, but I think...
But it's a big deal. It's a big deal, though, because I would own one if it weren't for that.
When you started that, I thought you were going to say it was tier-breaking based on the games, and I was about to drop it because you're not wrong. There is no games.
So you're saying in comparison to when it comes out, there's no games for anything.
This has been out for 2-3 years.
God of War 69's out. Like, that's great. Okay, if you like, adventures that the books already wrote for you, then yeah, whatever.
But what I'm saying is, like, this has been out, 3 years now? It's been out a long time. And there's still nothing. And there's really nothing on the horizon. And, all the games that have come out are trash. By this time, the 360's life cycle had Gears 1, Gears 2, Halo 3. It had a couple Forzas probably.
I don't know. I wouldn't have said Gears 2 out loud, but whatever.
Well, okay. Gears 2 was nowhere near Gears 1, but it wasn't atrocious. Like, it wasn't absolute dog shit like most games that are coming out nowadays. Like, if I could get games that were Gears 2 caliber now, I'd be happy. That is how starved for games we are now. Like, it's bad. It's real bad. But this is my list. If you're happy with that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think the list is perfectly fair.
I really wish the 360 didn't have those hardware problems because it would 100% be above the original, but the hardware problems really kicked it in the gonads.
And just little things like, the power brick that was the size of the Xbox that you had to hide behind your TV somewhere.
That brick was a pain in the ass, that's for sure. Imagine if that heat source was in there, though. It would have killed like twice as many 360s.
Right.
Oh my god!
You don't even need it. I have a fuse box for my house. Before it, everyone's is on a freaking power strip. There's so many things that are going to fail before the Xbox actually. And even if it was struck by lightning or some crazy shit, I'm just going to chalk it up to the Xbox breaking down like normal anyway. You didn't need that on there.
Pretty much. All right, I guess that is the definitive best Xbox tier list. Undebated. Jesus signed off on it, and yeah, there you go. If you disagree, write a comment, and then I'll dislike it because it's wrong.
You disagree, you can comment, and then we can get into an argument, ultimately ending in physical threats.
Yeah,
through the comments of this video.